Welcome to the Soya Says Podcast, episode number 9. And just like the last episode, we have a guest with us today. Her name is Kim. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share.
Great. So, in the last episode, we had an expert and we touched upon the topic of blogging. And today we are going to explore more around blogging and kind of try and pick Kim's brain on blogging. She's an expert in this area. Now, she has excellent tips and content shared on her Instagram, and I definitely urge you to check that out and give her a follow. Her handle is linked in the description below. So, as part of this podcast, too, I'd like to discuss a couple of her Instagram posts in detail because I think it is going to help the audience and budding bloggers. So, with that, I think it would be a great time to start off with some kind of introduction. Kim, if you could tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, sure. My name is Kim, aka Mrs. Solopreneur. I call myself that because I actually started and solely run two businesses, one of them being an online business about blogging. That's really where what I do now. I do have 15 years business strategy and management experience. I have started blogging over 10 years ago, so I have a lot of experience with that as well.
Great, great. So good to have you.
Yeah,
Now,
thank you.
I'd like to start off with a question that I posed with the previous expert that we had on our episode as well. And it's about how relevant blogging is. And, when I say blogging, I mean the blob of text that people write and post on their WordPress or Blogger or wherever they are hosting a blog. So
Mhm.
now today, visual content has taken a center stage, right? You've got Instagram, you've got TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat. Everyone's posting a picture or a video or a short video, reels, whatever they call it, on other platforms, stories and TikTok. I don't know what TikTok likes to call their short videos, but then we see a horde of visual content out there. How relevant do you think blogging is when it comes to the times we are in today?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I think it comes up a lot on my social media channels as well. Blogging is just as relevant, if not more relevant, this year today than it was even in years past. And that doesn't mean that it hasn't changed, however, to your point. So, blogging now is really about cross-channel content marketing. So, to your point, it's not just enough to just have your blog, have your website, and you just have these articles and blog posts and all of that. You really need to get involved with having your website, cross promoting it on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is you do, YouTube. And another thing to keep in mind as well is just like social media has changed in the recent years where it is more video focused, blogging is really the same. So it's not enough to just have your blog and just have, 3,000, 5,000, 7,000 words. You really want to have media content in that as well, whether that be through pictures, but especially through video content, because that is what one, people are looking for, and also two, Google is actually ranking now blogs higher in the search engines when they have video content. So blogging is super relevant. I can talk later about even the blog that I started last year and kind of the success with that. And in fact, there is a statistic that shows when a customer is looking to make a purchase, so a consumer, over 60% of them will go to a blog post, and that will actually determine whether or not they buy that product. So you can see that it is relevant. There's also over 3 million active blogs in the US alone this year. So there's a lot of blogs out there. It can be harder to be seen, and that's where the cross channel content marketing comes in with social media and things like that.
Great. Yeah. So I think excellent answer there. And thank you for sharing those, numbers as well. It kind of helps you to get an idea of where blogging is and how relevant it really is. So, we talked about blog not just being, 3,000, 5,000 words, but also including media content in your blogs can definitely help. So yeah, that's something we can look forward to. Now you mentioned about ranking on Google, and how, and everybody wants to rank there. Everybody wants their blogs to be on the first page of the Google in the top 5 list, right? Um, Eventually, it leads to more people coming to your blogs, and you would think, more people coming to my blog means I am going to be making more money with my blog.
Right.
What are the ways to make money with blogging? Is it possible to make money just blogging?
This is the big question. This is like the number one question. The short answer is yes, it is 100% possible. And like I said earlier, I can share my example from last year. So last year, I decided that I was going to start a brand new blog, and it was going to be in the new niche that I'm in now, talking about, helping other people start blogs, online business strategies, things like that. And I made money after only 4 weeks after I launched it. So yes, it is possible. I think the biggest misconception though is that it's easy to make money, or that you can make money overnight. And unfortunately, there's a lot of full-time bloggers out there that say, oh, I only work 2 days a week, or I work a few hours a day and I make a full-time income. And yeah, that is possible. And it is possible for these people that have been blogging, a decade, or, a really long time. But you have to have a momentum, you have to have traffic. So it is a little bit dishonest, the people that say that. Even in my case, I made money after 4 weeks. That's pretty rare. And again, it goes with my experience and my years of experience with business strategy and blogging. So, but yes, it is possible. You have to have a strategy from the beginning, and you have to start your blog with the strategy of, okay, this is a business, just like any other startup business. I need to have a business strategy. I need to have a business plan. I need to know how I'm going to make money before I even get started. And then also, you have to set up your website correctly to be able to monetize a blog. So there are certain things you need to do, for that. And also, one thing I like to just keep in mind is, you talked about Google and ranking on Google. So that's what everyone wants to do, right? Because that's where our organic traffic comes from. But what a lot of people don't understand, and this is why a lot of bloggers, over 95% of them, actually end before they even make their first dollar, is because it takes an average of 12 to 18 months to start ranking high on Google. Can you do it before that? Yes, you can. But that's average. So I always like to tell people, be prepared to be consistent in putting out your content every week, and be prepared to not make any money back for that 12 to 18 month period. So it is possible. You just have to be consistent. You have to have a strategy, just like how you would with any other business.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. Yeah, I mean, it takes time. I was reading somewhere that blogging is like planting a tree. You cannot plant the seeds and then, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're putting water in it, and it's not growing, and then you give up. Man, it is not growing up. But yeah, it takes time. You'll have to continuously water the plant. You'll have to continuously nurture it, and that's when it grows. Once it grows, then it keeps giving you fruits, and that's where
Then you're good. Yeah.
yeah, then that's where this whole idea of working just a few hours a week and I'm still making
Yeah,
full-time income, that's where that comes in. Now,
exactly.
two things you mentioned that stood out to me was having a strategy before kind of starting off with your blog, and picking a niche as well. How are these two connected? How important is it to have a niche? you know let's say I'm going to be starting a blog tomorrow, and I have no idea what I'm going to be blogging now. Am I going to be doing any good in blogging, or should I be thinking through this and carefully selecting a niche and then starting off the blog? What do you think?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I'll just start a blog and I'll just start typing, and that's great. But it does relate back to the do I want to make money question. You can blog about whatever you want. That doesn't mean it's going to be a business or that you'll make money. And so I'm assuming that if you want to start a blog and you're thinking of it at the do I want to make money angle, that this is where a niche comes in. And again, talking about Google ranks a website by its relevancy and its authority.
Mhm.
So if you don't have a niche, or you don't have a way of organizing your content, you will not gain authority or relevancy with Google, which again won't lead you to ranking and it won't lead you to sales. So it's the same way with social media. Any social media expert, they're going to tell you, you need to pick a niche to grow your audience. So, you really need to think about, what do you want your audience, your readers, to go to you for? That could be anything. It could be business strategy, cooking tutorials, marketing, parenting lessons, whatever. And you can always pivot your niche. You can always change based on what your audience and your readers want from you. But you won't start to rank on Google if Google doesn't understand what your website is about, because you're talking about all of these different things. And, one of the ways that you can do that is make a list or think about things that you want to talk about, but do a little bit of keyword research. So there's a couple of free Chrome extensions you can use, like Moz or Keywords Everywhere. And this will help you determine the quantity of searches for that niche. And what that means is, like, how many people are even looking for that? How many people are searching the topic that you want to talk about? So again, if no one's searching for it, then you're not going to make any money. So it's good to do the research, but also try to have a niche. And if you're stuck between a couple different things, make sure that you're organizing your website with categories and have one category for each of those things, so Google can recognize it, and therefore it will help you with ranking on Google.
Great. Excellent answer there. And I keep getting this question because a lot of people, kind of want to blog on, today they want to blog about travel, tomorrow they want to, review the new phone that they bought, and day after tomorrow they have a great recipe, which is, a healthy breakfast recipe. I always tell them, and I'd like to repeat here, that, having a business is different from having a hobby. Having a blog that talks about everything under the sun, that's more of a hobby, right? You want to share something.
Yeah.
It's like your personal Instagram where you want to, click a selfie and share it. It has no business sense at all. But then having a business is where you need to pick a niche. That's where you need to strategize. And Kim brought in excellent points about keyword research. You want to, there used to be these VCR tapes which used to attach with the TV, and you need to, if you want to play movies, that's back in the 90s and possibly 80s in the US. So if you want to blog about them today, nobody's going to read your blogs. So that's why it's important to do keyword research and see what people are actually interested in and what people are searching on. And staying on that, Kim had an excellent post around some of the most profitable blog niches out there, and I'd love if you would share more around that post, Kim.
Yeah, so there has been a lot of research on, which niches that you can pick that are the most profitable. And of course, this is done through statistics and things like that. There's quite a few of them, but yes, I can list some of them. So one of the most popular ones, I think you might have mentioned it earlier, is food and recipe blogs. One of my favorite ones is wheatfreemom.com, but these are anyone that talks about, food, recipes, and even specific diets like, gluten-free, vegan, things like that. So that one's really popular. Personal finance blogs are very popular. One of my favorites is Credit Takeoff by Mike Pearson. He's actually has a lot of very successful blogs, but he has a great personal finance blog. So this would be, talking about your personal experience, usually with paying off debt, is really where the most profit comes from, because this is something a lot of people want to do, but also budgeting and investing and things like that. Health, beauty, and fashion blogs. This is what a lot of people like to call the lifestyle blogs, those people that do want to blog about everything. So, talking about health, beauty, fashion, again, you want to make sure if you are someone that's going to do that, you are organizing your content in a fashion that Google will understand what you're talking about. Some of the other popular ones are travel, parenting, or mom blogs are very popular. Marketing. So these would be blogs that help you with social media marketing or strategies, things like that. Do it yourself. So DIY or craft blogs are actually very popular. There's one very popular person called Jennifer Maker. She makes over $1 million a year with her craft blog, believe it or not. And then finally, another popular one is blogs that actually talk about blogging. So that's where I would fall under. because I write about blog tips, how to start a blog, online business strategies, and things like that. Again, the important thing to remember is even though those are profitable, those are really like blanket statements. So even travel, you really want to even narrow it down even further. So what about travel? Is it COVID travel? Is it long distance travel? Is it traveling in your neighborhood? Is it traveling with kids? So being specific will really help your audience grow.
Great, great. Excellent suggestions there. And, Kim mentioned about narrowing down your niche further. And I have an example of a friend of mine, and he actually reviews mobile phones, but he does that only from, giving attention to just the RAM of a mobile phone. So a RAM has a mobile has 6 GB RAM. What model of the RAM is being used in that phone?
Mm.
What kind of games work best on this phone? And so there's a hell of a lot of information around RAM itself, and he's niched it down. He's not just yet another mobile phone review YouTube channel. He is someone who specializes in RAM. So that's where niching down further, if I can use that word,
Mm-hmm.
in your niche comes
Yeah.
into the picture. Now, okay, great, excellent tips there, excellent strategies, and stuff that people can make use of and start off with their blog. So if I want to start my blog today, how can Kim help me?
Well, great question. So there definitely is a learning curve with starting a blog, especially figuring out the technical side of it if that's not something you're really strong at. However, it's actually pretty easy to get started. Obviously, I would recommend my own product, which is free. I have a free new blogger guide, which you can find on my website, mrssolopreneur.com. But this free guide teaches you everything you need to know before you start your blog. So, what mindsets and skill sets you need to have. There's a one-page checklist on everything you need to do before you get started, breaking down the budget, things like that. And then after that, there are certain things that you need, again, to set up your website properly. So, things like hosting, what open source software are you going to use to blog? What is your niche, your design? What pages do you need? Legal terms. So it sounds like a lot, but it is pretty simple to get started. I would recommend also, I have a 5 days to blog launch toolkit. It's very inexpensive and it teaches you exactly those steps that you need to do to get your blog launched in 5 days. So it is pretty easy to get started. And what I always like to think about is if you are starting a business, like a physical, actual business, a marketing firm, something like that, there's so much time and there's so much money that you need to invest in that. So if you think about starting an online business, I mean, you can get started really quickly because you don't have all of those other factors.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And all of the helpful information around Kim's website and these program and the free guide, of course, will be linked in the description. So do check that out. With that, I think thank you so much for joining today, Kim. Thanks for taking the time out. And I'm pretty sure this is going to help a lot of people out there, budding bloggers. A lot of my audience I know is going to benefit from this. So thank you so much.
Of course, you're welcome.